Good morning, how are you doing? Today I'm going to be talking about something called an autoresponder, which is just a fancy way of saying email marketing. Why it's called an autoresponder is simply because it means when someone signs up for an email, they can get an automatic response, such as "Thank you for signing up for our newsletter." Now, most autoresponders allow you to do a lot more than that, which I will get into later. But in a nutshell, you can customize the emails, you can personalize them, and make them sound like you're writing personally to that person. And nowadays in business, personalization does really help. So that being said, this is as of November 7th, 2012. Some of the more popular autoresponders that I've personally heard of in the internet marketing community are aweber.com, icontact.com, getresponse.com, constantcontact.com, and so forth. New services are popping up every day, and if you want to find some, simply go into Google and do a search for autoresponders. Generally speaking, the advantage of using one of these services is they've already contacted big services such as AOL.com, Comcast, and so forth, and gotten whitelisted. So what that means is if you send an email, you can be pretty much sure that it's going to get through because it has good deliverability. A couple other advantages is it easily allows you to manage email campaigns. So that means you can have, say, 10 different campaigns for 10 different products, or you can have, for example, holiday pricing, birthday pricing, and so forth, and you can see what works best. The next thing is a lot of these services allow you to track the success rates. So for example, say you had 1,000 emails, you could see when you sent out a particular email how many people opened it. And why this is useful is because it allows you to gauge which kind of campaigns are successful. So for example, if you sent out an email saying "buy my products," and that's what it was called, it just said "buy my products now," and your email just said, "Hi, I want you to buy my stuff," and then you looked at it and you saw only 2% of people opened it, and then you tried a different email and you said "holiday pricing, get 20% off all my products," and then you say notice 10% of people opened your email, then you can realize that you got 5 times as many people opening your email when you had a headline called holiday pricing as opposed to just "buy my stuff," and that means potentially 5 times the sales. So that's another good reason why you should use an autoresponder, because it allows you to track the success rates. Some of them also allow you to integrate with Google Analytics and other services. Another great thing is the personalization. So instead of just a mass email saying, "Hi, today we're talking about blah blah blah," you can say, "Oh, hey John, how's it going? I just wanted to write you and let you know about this great new service, blah blah blah." In internet marketing, personalization has proven to be very effective. Now, you do need to test and see what works well specifically for your campaign, but email marketing services such as this lets you figure out what works best. Do people who subscribe to your list respond better to a personalized email where they say, "Hey, dear John, just checking out how are the wife and kids," and so forth, or do they respond better to more of a corporate format such as "here's our latest financials" and blah blah blah? So that's one of the good reasons. The main disadvantages of using a service, one of these services, if you're a small business or just getting started, it can be relatively expensive. A lot of people, when they're just getting into this, they want to do things as cheaply as possible. So paying $30 a month, or if you're growing your list to say $100 and paying $150 a month, that can cut into profits a little bit. There is something called a self-hosted autoresponder. but the issues you might get into is the whitelisting. So for example, if you pay $150 and you do the responder on your own website, you might not get through to, say, all those AOL.com email addresses or Comcast and so forth. So in a nutshell, that's what that is. And I'm actually going to give you an example of one of the services that I personally use. I actually use Aweber, and funny story, the main reason I use Aweber is because at the time I wanted to find a service that had these it's called a light screen, and basically it dims the rest of the screen and it says sign up for my newsletter. At the time I thought those were really cool. Since then I've learned they're not as effective as I expected, but at the time it seemed Aweber was the only service that had this easy to use light box. So that being said, I'm going to go. So this is Aweber's main website. Obviously you have the sign in button right here, features, pricing, partner, support blog, and order. Pricing wise, this is what they have, and again, this is as of November 7th, 2012. It could always change. They start out with a free month $1 trial. I do recommend trying it out, and then $19 a month for 500 subscribers. And then as you add more subscribers, obviously it costs more. Again, as of the writing, my understanding is it's $8 for every additional 1,000 people over 25,000. So if you say had another 10,000 people, like you had 35,000 people, it would be an additional $80 a month. But again, I guess that's always subject to change. So you either sign in here or you can create an account. I already have an account, so I'm going to go in there. Now I have blacked out a little bit of my stuff simply because I do want to keep a little bit of it private. This is an example of the interface. Right here you would have the list that you manage, so you could have different products and services, and then you would have for example, the different list names. You would have the number of subscribers that you've gotten for today, the number of subscribers yesterday, how many people are currently subscribed to your list, how many people have unsubscribed, and then the grand total. And as you can see in this particular account, I have about 25,000 people. Now these are opt-in, which means people have explicitly requested information from me, so it does make it easier to follow up with them because they want information. Nowadays it's very difficult to spam companies or spam people or companies and so forth, because people, generally speaking, get very upset and they complain very quickly. So what you want to do is you want to make something called an opt-in form, which allows them to follow up with you. Scrolling down, you can see you have something called recent broadcasts. Then you'd have your list name, the sent date, the subject, how many were sent, the number of bounces, the complaints, opens, and clicks. So for example, if I had 10,000 people that an email was sent to, it might say 10 people complained, or there were 1,000 opens, and how many people actually clicked on particular links. And again, why that's useful is because if you send out an email campaign, like as you send out more campaigns, you can gauge which ones are more successful for you. So again, if you had a holiday price in one versus just a buy now, you might find in the buy now only 2% of people click. But if you say, hey, get this holiday pricing, you might get 10% that click. And again, that would mean like a difference of 5 times the potential sales. Now what I've done is I've decided to go into the broadcast section. So I've gone messages and then broadcast. And again, I blacked out some of the information because I just prefer to keep it private at the moment. But what you can see here is you have a bunch of different messages, and then it'll show you whether or not it looks like spam. Of course, you can modify your email so it doesn't. Now, the main reason these have a little bit of a spam rating is because I haven't created something called a plain text version. With Aweber, it usually wants you to send out two forms of email. One is an HTML form and one is a plain text. So if people don't have a browser that they're viewing it in, it should be straight text. So right now for me, these are all drafts, and I tend to only put together the plain text version when I have the HTML version exactly how I like it. However, if you sent out an email like, say, make money now, $10 million, click here for free stuff, etc., etc., those would probably rank pretty high in the spam filters, because generally speaking that is how people spam, and Aweber will tell you that. And why you would want to change it is because if it has too high of a spam rating, then it just won't get sent. Now I've gone into the broadcast editor. This is where you can specifically choose to customize an email to a specific user. Now I am using the older interface simply because I like it better. If you sign up for Aweber nowadays, you actually have to ask them how to get the old broadcast editor. Or you could probably simply cut and paste this URL right here. But anyways, what you would do is you would have the subject, so you might say, hey, November sales, buy my product now. And then you could say, dear so-and-so, whatever, super, cheers, etc., etc. You can personalize it, so you have a bunch of different fields here, so you have name, first name, and so forth. And that just allows you to personalize it, and then you write the body of your message here. Then, like I mentioned, you have a plain text version of the email here. And then scrolling down a bit more, you have all these parameters. Do you want to send it right now or send it later? Whom should it be sent to? You can click to include or exclude lists. You can track clicks if you want social media and so forth. Once you have that, you'd click on Save Message. Then you would simply go back to the main broadcast menu and click on Send. And in a nutshell, this is a very basic overview of how you would create an email campaign. And I've gone to Messages, and then I've gone to Broadcast, and then it has a list of my pending messages right here. And had I put in a subject header that I liked and so forth, then I could queue this, and then it would send it off whenever I wanted. And then I would officially send off an email to my list, and then ideally see sales. So in a nutshell, that is how you do that. In future videos, I'm actually going to discuss things such as how to create opt-in forms, why you want to create an opt-in form, the benefits, and so forth. I hope you have found this informative. If you have, please subscribe to my list. I will be in the future using it to follow up with you with useful marketing information, and if there's something I think might benefit you, I will let you know. Thanks, and have a great day.